Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Tech Frenzy. Today, we're doing a little bit of a different show. Obviously, we had July 4th, so July 3rd was half a trading day. July 4th was not a trading day at all. So it's been a lot of time away from me actually creating content and everything. And so I thought, what a great idea to do a 48-hour fast, something I've never done before. I've never done any fasting. And so that's what I did this weekend. And it essentially just made me sick. No, I'm actually refeeding right now, which is putting food back into your body. But that is a weird process. You can't just go back to eating McDonald's or whatever. I mean, there's quite a level of things that you have to do. So bone broth to start, and then eggs, and then all this stuff to try to reintroduce your body to protein. And anyway, that's what I'm going through. Let's talk stocks now. And I might have to peel this sweater off almost instantaneously here. Okay. That said, we have some decent news that came out over the weekend for Robinhood, and then stuff that we just didn't end up covering the week before. So, or like at the end of the day, or end of the week last week. So we have some stuff to cover. Scott Bessent came out and said a couple of interesting details about student loan debt that they said, they're going to end up finalizing here soon and potentially end up giving some new details on. I'll talk about that. And then all sorts of stuff on self-driving cars, CoreWeave, NVIDIA, Amazon, Datadog, Tesla, America Party. Who knows? We've got a lot of topics to talk about. So, ladies and gentlemen, buckle in. We're going to try to do this in less than 30 minutes. So that's the intro. All right. Let's see who's here. Are we getting a no short stream? No shirt stream. No. I've got a shirt that's the same color of my skin. So maybe it'll look like it. But and by the way, I think it's like a tan shirt. I don't know. Tan for Tanner. There we go. SoFi to 100. I don't know, B-dubs. Give it a little bit. Amit had a great interview with Tom Lee. I know, seriously. All right, okay, let's jump in. Y'all are distracting me already. Okay, so first up, let's listen to Scott Bessent really quick, and then we will talk about details about what this means. SoFi, obviously, if you guys know, they do student loans, and they're one of the biggest, especially in private student loans, for which they own like a 60 to 70% market share in their credit box. Okay. So essentially what that means is that in the 680 plus, which is almost nearly all of the private student loans, SoFi writes all of those originations. It's insane. There's really not another player. And the players that used to play in this space, a lot of them have actually gone under closed business, like Common Bond, for example, that used to be really big in the space and just essentially left. Or DFS sold their entire student loan business, and then got bought out by Capital One. So there's really not a whole lot of players left. Anyway, let's listen in.
Once we have finished trade and taxes here at Treasury, we're going to take on the student loan portfolio. We don't have a solution for what's going on there, but I do think that just forgiving student debt was unacceptable. But yes, I do think that I think that there is a firm and humane way to deal with the student debt crisis, and we are going to be focused on that here at Treasury because, for many young Americans, they've started out post-college with the equivalent of a mortgage. So, we're going to be working on that. But, the real thing here, and again, it's depending on what you're doing, is, I started my career out, I lived on the tip wages. So no tax on wages is a pretty good start. Once we have finished trade.
Essentially, what I think this means is he said, we can't extinguish the debt, but something has to be done. Okay, so how many levers do you have to pull? I mean, if you're not going to extinguish the debt, there's really one other thing that could make a real financial difference there. Well, two, which would be the timeline of the payback or the interest that's going to be paid. Okay. the interest that's going to be paid would affect SoFi's student loan refinancing as heavily as them extinguishing the debt entirely. Okay. Because if you have 0%, that means that you won't need to refinance. In fact, it would be a bad financial decision in order to get rid of your, 0% or much lower percent student loans in favor of a much more expensive SoFi student loan. Okay. So there's a little bit of worry commentary within here, but people are also stating that, I myself, or maybe other people involved, are also jumping to conclusions that we don't know what is going to be said. We don't know what structure, deal, or whatever is going to be made here. And that jumping to, they're going to extinguish all the interest might be a little overextended here. And that's probably true to some degree as well. All right. That being said, so keep an eye out for that. We still have a lot of trade talks to go, and we're going to see a lot of that come Monday and Tuesday. So we'll hear some immediate news from the Trump administration on that. So hopefully a little bit after that, they'll start talking about student loans. But it'll probably happen sometime in 2025 or early 2026, which is, short enough for it to be extremely relevant today. That there will be some pricing in of changes if people start to see things ahead. Now, due to Webull here, we can actually see the overnight pricing for SoFi, which actually I just checked now was up for SoFi. We were at $18.70, now actually showing flat, $18.57, which is how we closed at the end of the day. A little bit higher than the after hour pricing, but remember, there's such small volume here. Very hard to tell. But overall, I did a post on X talking about the short-term future of okay, sorry, never mind. I got a tweet that I thought was a SoFi piece of news, but it was for a different company. Okay. I actually put out this tweet here talking about the short term for SoFi as well, that is extremely bullish regardless of what happens at student loans. So that's another thing that I should probably highlight is how much of SoFi's lending revenue is even lending in the first place. And by the way, even if they extinguish the interest on a federal level, those aren't private student loans. So whenever you privatize your student loan, you're giving away that, like, the benefits that you have with the federal government, and you're privatizing, which can be much better for the term of the loan, the pricing, all of these things, but then also kind of alleviates you from any potential, hey, we're extinguishing the debts or something like this. Whenever people were talking about completely clearing 10, 20,000 or 50,000 or all of student debt, well, for SoFi, that would never have happened. Look at this guy looking 6 pounds lighter. I know. Someone in chat I read earlier said they do 36-hour fasts every 8 days. It was nothing. Dude, I'm happy for you. It was so hard for me, and it was so hard right around the 30 to 36-hour mark. That's whenever I was dying. After that, it actually cleared up for the most part. But around that point, I kind of hit what is normally called like the keto flu, and then the fast just got terrible. Like I had chills. I was every muscle in my body ached. It was terrible. Yeah, it was a water only fast. Yeah, well, water and black coffee, green tea, but I left that black as well. No sugar, no cream. And then once my whole body started aching, I started taking magnesium supplements, and that actually helped a lot. It was actually Tevis's idea, but essentially why he said 6 pounds lighter is I just dropped, 6 pounds during then. I don't know what percentage is actual fat burn versus just water weight, but even the water weight concept doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I was chugging water. Like, the water weight thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So these are 42 ounces. I had like 5 of them. Like, I also trained twice during the 36 hours. Dude, I did not move. Well, I did a couple walks, but like aside from that, I did not exercise at all. What did I eat first after fasting? Well, that's actually pretty interesting. So, I was really worried about getting sick from refasting. So it was 2 scrambled eggs to start, and then went into a meal of like chicken, like just plain salt on chicken with sauteed vegetables and sweet potato. But like small portions and then slowly building up, but absolutely no like deep fried stuff. Even fruit, like sugar, I'm trying to keep to a low carb. So I'm trying to reintroduce. It's interesting. Yeah, that can happen. You can get quite sick after and then for people that are like fasting really long periods of time, 4 or 5 days, they can get what's called refeeding syndrome, which can spike your insulin so high that you can actually have fatal results if you just like go to McDonald's after and just shove your face. So you have to reintroduce food. It's kind of weird. Your body actually holds less water and less sodium. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Yeah, and the amount of sodium, I didn't realize I had to continuously, because you're not really introducing a whole lot of sodium outside of food. So whenever you're just like on water only, it's like warm water with salt in it. Like it's freaking gross, but you have to get it in. Okay, guys, let's get back to the content. I get lost in these conversations with you guys. We always end up burning more time than I want to. If we have more time at the end, we'll talk about other health stuff, fasting, all that stuff. This short-term setup, I ended up posting 4 slides that hopefully you guys know some of these, but SoFi's website traffic has come in and it's looking very bullish for SoFi once again. Another month that ended up pushing up the average. Okay. Total loan sales are getting back to very new highs. But once you add on the loan platform business, which is a loan sale, in fact, it's much better than a loan sale. We're originating the loan on behalf of other customers, so we don't take on any risk and we immediately sell it. Okay. So if you include both of these, both the loan platform is expected to hit new highs and the selling of our own loans are expected to do very well this quarter as well. Once we start getting into rate cut territory, and hopefully, we see this, in September with a 69.4% ease probability right now, which actually has gone down from a 90+% as of like last week. So we'll see how it changes over time, but it could go the other way as well. That potentially this would accelerate what we're doing on the loan platform side and the loan selling side. Actually, probably more on the loan selling side, just because we're originating in the environment that we're in, if that makes sense. So if rates lower, we're originating at a lower pace. But loan sales, you are selling things that you've already written past tense. So that would be at a higher rate environment, which means higher demand for those loans because they're at a higher coupon level, and then the amount or the amount that you would actually receive on those would also increase. And then lastly, for the large, big product that I'm really excited about is crypto. Now, we actually have some more news on products that might actually come sooner than crypto. The SoFi Insider, which is a person that likes to toy around on SoFi's app and go through the code and everything, has discovered that the instant payments or global transfer is already in the code base today. Like not in a beta form of SoFi, in the app today. So real-time payments to members and non-members in the US and select countries. You can see this resembles what they just recently shown off, which was the pay worldwide feature that they said would be instant through cryptocurrency, which Anthony Noto leaked might actually be Bitcoin, which was quite interesting. We'll have to see how it works. There was also some showing off that it would be about $1 per transaction. So it depends on how you break down the numbers, what percentage of the members you actually think are going to be trading, and then how often they might be trading to see what we could end up getting. Essentially, though, the way that I'm looking at it, it's a 100% additive to the total SoFi ecosystem. It makes stickier users. More users will hold more money on SoFi. Let's imagine that the customers that are common remittance using users that are on SoFi, they might have two different platforms. They might have SoFi, and then they might also have a bill payment or set up to transfer money over to their Remitly account or PayPal Zoom or Wise to then transfer money back to their family in another country or potentially another person that they might be sending it to. But most of the time, it's whenever you're thinking about traditional remittances, it's someone who came from another country, comes to America or another country like this, or Canada, for example, and then makes a really high income wage and sends money back to their family to support their, brothers, sisters, family, elders, whatever. So if they start doing that through SoFi at a lower cost than they would through PayPal Zoom and can send it to non-SoFi members like what you saw there, that's a beautiful way to do this. Keep more money on SoFi's platform, make an additional revenue stream. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. And if the fees are so low and it picks up traction with other users, potentially that could be a new on-ramp for new users to come onto SoFi's platform. It's not Zoom with a Z, it's Zoom with an X. XOOM, PayPal's Zoom, which is their international payments, remittances platform, these sort of things. Who's taking profits after earnings? Hey, I mean, during a run-up, I think that beats Western Union. Everything beats Western Union these days. I mean, talk about a company that I would bet against for the rest of eternity. Like, they will be gone. That's a company that will not survive. Sorry. But it is okay to take profits if you feel that you don't believe that the company is going to continue higher. I'd so much rather someone take profits and make smaller gains than potentially what I potentially think that they could earn without them coming back and saying, hey, you told me to hold longer and it's gone down to 15 or 14 and I could have got a higher payout before. You told me to do this. I'm not telling you to do crap, okay? I'm going to hold my shares. I've got a long time horizon and a different strategy than maybe some other people. The great thing about investing is that you could be a dividend investor, value investor, growth investor, and we could all be right. Okay. So take profits whenever you feel that it's necessary to do so. But I'm looking for generational wealth businesses. Okay. Businesses that are going to really push the needle. And if you're going to push the needle, that's not about buying companies and selling them every single time they find a small run up. Okay. You see people do this all the time whenever they first get into investing, where they buy something at 15, they sell it at 16, and they're so happy they just bought lunch, and that's awesome. Okay, cool. If you want to do that, that's fine. But you never make any money, any real money, life-changing money doing that. Okay. I'm not buying SoFi for 20, 30. I'm buying it for the long term. And the funny thing about compounding businesses is that long term gets easier and easier. Okay. There are some people that whenever they actually got into SoFi, they had about 1.8 million users. I truly believe there's going to be quarters going forward where we're adding 1.8 million users per quarter, right? We're, in my belief, we're definitely going to get over 800,000 members this quarter. I think that's going to continue every quarter that they continue to increase sales and marketing. Okay. More and more users will get stickier and stickier, cross-selling into multiple products, increasing revenue. And as we've seen from their strategy, that they've been able to get more cost efficient on every single product over time. Okay. So if this continues, this is a game of patience. They will continue to increase margins like we've seen. And the market, whether you think it's going to happen based on historically looking at the chart or looking at the actual companies and the companies that have done this in the past, I think they're going to go up. That's how business works. We should be around 925,000 this quarter. I think that is a extremely high target. I probably have amongst the SoFi, this SoFi weekly crew that all do predictions, which I'm also going to do my prediction first. Okay. I'll probably do it this week or something like this. I have all the information I need because we have June website traffic, which was the only thing I was waiting for. I'll end up putting out my targets, but I'm nowhere near the 925 or 900. I hope that to be the case, but let's be realistic. And also, like, guys, there is a high chance, and by high, I mean like 25%, maybe 30%, that we actually see a 40+% year over year revenue growth this quarter. Meaning, how much revenue that, yeah, I mean, it's self-explanatory. How much revenue that we're going to gain this quarter is 40+% higher than what it was a year ago. I mean, like how easy, I don't know why I had to explain that at all. But yeah, to be fair, I pulled 925 out of, yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's perfectly fine. Like, I really do think, though, that the member growth will be huge. I'll be very high. Okay. Do we want to talk about Robinhood really quick? We can always go back to SoFi questions later on, but there's actually some real news that we just saw, the other day that I think is very exciting. This is extremely exciting. I don't know what happened to chicken or the egg type situation here, but Bitstamp, which is now Bitstamp by Robinhood, is licensed in Singapore. Now, if we know, Robinhood has been wanting to enter their first country in Asia through Singapore since they announced it on their investor day. Okay. Ever since we found out about their stock tokens and how they want to do all this, I wonder if this is the full extent of how they are going to enter Singapore. I don't know if they knew, because they had aspirations to acquire Bitstamp before the investor day, that they said that they were going to be entering Singapore because Bitstamp was entering Singapore, or they want to go to Singapore. So they're saying, hey, Bitstamp, you get over there, then we'll set up Robinhood crypto there. And then Robinhood crypto will essentially be the brokerage as well. And bing, bada, boom, we've fully entered that country. Either way, things are happening very fast over at Hood stock. $93 a share right now. We were over 100 earlier on before. But if you track the new products and the TAMs of those products that we've entered in the last, freaking couple months, it's insane. Once Robinhood Banking comes out, like, I mean, the whole platform will be something very, very exciting and a fun follow, even at $90+ a share. Paper Gains here. Jason shows off another new product from Robinhood, their predictions markets, but now getting into MMA, being able to bet on each individual match. So then you can end up hopefully watching in live time what the sentiment of those, fighters will be. So you can sell before the prediction actually happens. But if someone's getting hit more than the other, then the bets will start coming in favoring the one player over the other. But predictions markets in themselves are going to be a massive market, and that's going to continue to grow as they add more and more different, what do you call it? Like contracts to bet on. So even keep an eye on that. That is going to be a real revenue driver. They'll make about $0.01 per contract, and people will be writing thousands and thousands of contracts per person because people are highly speculative and they love making these bets, and it's a free market. Go ahead, take your bet. I think it's actually much better than just betting binary on an outcome. It is different than that. It's not just a win or a lose. You can buy something, sentiment can change on that, sell it, and then make your money and not have to actually worry about the outcome. If I'm correct, Chris Patel actually made money betting on Kamala Harris to win the election but not because he believed that Kamala Harris was going to win, just because her odds of winning had dropped too low for the market not to bounce back. So he played like a small area within that actually allowed him to take a gain, get out of there, and then watch Donald Trump win the election. Yeah, MMA is going to the White House. Crazy. Wonder if that's going to happen again, you know? Still don't get the whole crypto craze. It hasn't evolved in 16 years. Would rather invest in the people who make my blender, Shark Ninja. To say it hasn't evolved in 16 years is bananas. But it totally has. It's a completely new area. The security even has increased. All the tools that are being made, the contracts that can be written, it's completely new. I mean, you can buy things that represent stocks and their price in real time and do that with essentially zero gas fees. So talk about that from the difference of being able to only purchase or sell Bitcoin, which was probably the first layer that we could have seen, and high gas fees and only purchase it every 10 minutes. It's completely different. Chris is Meet Kevin 2.0. Chris is Flip Flop. Chris screwed us all. Yeah. So let me address this really quick. So I was a part of a group as well. I obviously didn't say anything publicly about Webull. I definitely wasn't as convinced as some other people. But the idea that this was some sort of pump and dump, I've seen a lot of accusations like this. Let me defend some people here for a minute. In no way does an investing group of people that are trying to find good opportunities and share them with their audience and stuff have any sort of insider information. Okay. So Chris had the same level of information as everyone else did. And essentially, whenever he purchased and was talking about this purchase and telling other investors like myself or Tevis or Roy or all these other people, wasn't saying, hey, can you guys go and pump this? He was saying, hey, can you guys go and research this as well? Can you put secondary eyes on this to tell me if this is a good investment? I even looked at it. Looked like it was growing at, 32% year over year, had 5 million accounts, and on a per account basis versus Robinhood, it was extremely undervalued. There's no arguing that. But then they just came in and shot themselves in the foot with this super scammy company that happened after everyone started talking about the Webull event. Okay. There is zero way to call that a flip-flop whenever he was presented with new information after he had gone long. Okay. So if he had bought after he told us, we would respect him. Is that what Warren Buffett does? Or does Warren Buffett have secret times whenever he purchases before he lets the public know? Is his obligation to let you know what he's purchasing before he buys? Do your own due diligence. I mean, there's not a single investor in the world who's going to say, hey guys, go ahead and front run my trade and then I'm going to go purchase. I mean, he can tell you the exact same time, right after he buys, but the idea that someone's going to say, hey, you go ahead and you front run, you bring up the price before I buy. Like, come on. Let's be real. Warren Buffett secretly builds his positions before going public, even goes to the SEC and says, hey, can I have more time before legally disclosing this to continue to build my position? Let's be real here. Yeah, the idea that people say that this is a pump and dump or anything like this, like the trade came to us at like $12.50, and now it's 13. You think everyone said, okay, now we sell. We sell because we made 50 cents. What? Like the original price target for why people thought that it was going to continue to run was like $30 a share. Management killed the entire operation. Like they said, hey, you know what? We're going to go to this scammy predatory lender and completely dilute shares and not do a mixed shelf offering. It was awful. They could have, like, I don't know why they did what they did. I didn't follow it as closely as everyone else. I'm just defending people who I actually think are not pump and dumpers, flip floppers, whatever I always see people use across the board. And really, it was just smart investors who talk to other smart investors, because, like, who else am I going to go to if I had an idea to say, hey guys, like, I'm looking into Shark Ninja, can I get a secondary opinion on this? If I think about the smart investors that I know, it's Tevis, Roy, Amit, Chris Patel, Steven Fiorillo, like the whole gang. You know, it's not some collaborated content. I didn't even post about it, but they did come to me for an opinion, and I gave them my opinion, and then we move on, but there's a mix between people who want to make content to say, hey, if I say this is a really good trade, and then it is a really good trade, then, that person benefits because they're the guy that just said, hey, go buy this thing, and it went well. You think Tevis and Roy and all these guys like that they post videos and saying, hey, it's great, and then, oh, by the way, I'm selling 50 cents later? You think anyone's willing to risk their reputation in any honest fashion at all? So then Asus here or whatever that's going to get banned is saying, like, oh, this guy's a pump and dumper, a flip flopper, a yada, 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 over, like, I think the worst thing to do are the investors that try to stick to it and say, no, this thing is going to work. This is not bad news. This is fine. To say, oh, you know what, we messed up a day later because they put out new information that wasn't available. I think that's much more respectable than whatever the heck you're describing him as a flip flopper. Just learn from. I don't think there's a single thing to learn from. That new information came out after they disclosed a trade. What is there to learn from? Amit is the real one for letting us know before he buys anything. Oh yeah, I'm sure he told you. Shark Ninja at 100 seems pricey. No clue though. Stuff they make is high quality. I mean, even just in my room, I have like 2 or 3 products just in this office for air purification, a fan beside me. Yeah. Shark Ninja was advertised a bit in the new movie F1. Yeah, they sponsored the movie. I'm not saying he didn't. I've purchased shares live on stream as well. But to say that anyone is, going to tell you before they buy that they are buying it. I like both of the guys. I'm not trying to downplay Amit or anything. What do people use where Hood isn't available? IBKR is a choice. But like, and now, I'm absolutely not trying to say Webull here at all, but like, Webull is definitely live in a lot of countries. Moomoo's live in a lot of countries. There are definitely millions of users for both. You're going to see some traction there for sure. Wealth Simple here in Canada. I don't know much about eToro as well, but yes, that is another answer. Okay, I got to take this hoodie off though. One sec. Ugh. Okay. What is up? Okay, so let's see what else. SoFi, by the way, if I can talk about this really quick. This is just absolutely incredible. The more I see, and now it's going to be super large and big here, but it's just the way that my screen has it. SoFi's price alerts or whatever are just crazy. So this was during the day, and it's at 10:34 a.m. This is exactly when Robinhood shares traded lower. It was speculated that the stock could have been added to the S&P 500, but Datadog was added instead. That's absolutely crazy because it's not a real newswire piece. That's just like online speculation. That's like stuff that retail investors talk about that is actually being presented as reasons for why this stock was, going up or down at a certain time. So the SoFi alerts are blowing me away. I think they're super smart for any investor. It's really useful to just take a look at a stock and go, hey, why is this going up or down? And you don't have to put it into Google or anything like this. You're just in your app and it tells you there immediately. And it's extremely accurate. So yes, Datadog did get into the S&P 500. They actually pumped pretty hard on that news, plus 15%, and then a little more even into the overnight today. So I would have loved for that to have been Robinhood. I think that they should have been selected, but it's mainly just a sector thing. I would be pretty confident in saying. If I'm not misunderstood as well, SoFi is actually a customer of Datadog. Give Hood and SoFi the spot. Hood could definitely get in. SoFi's not even eligible yet. So the eligibility actually just got raised to like 22.7 billion, something like that. So they are not, even available for the thing. Now, PayPal actually came out with this new subscription management tool. I thought was quite interesting. So sort of what Rocket Money or any of these things do, where they can find the subscriptions that you're paying for, see that they're coming out on a monthly basis, and then you could just cancel them right there, and they'll contact the company to just say, hey, you know what, we're going to block payment. Please cancel this service. Yeah. Absolutely great. AppLovin would have helped your stock draft. Yeah, if I'm not misunderstood, I haven't checked it in a bit. We can check it now. But the stock draft, I think that's the only company that is not positive for me. Every other business or every other company has gone up. Actually placing me in second place, almost first place. Mad Money has gone down quite a lot, actually, and I've continued to improve. Let's take a look. So as we can see here, Amit at 2.95%, including dividends, which is a little bit even false because we just have the full dividend here. Like we haven't made 1.89% on JP Morgan already. That's the full yearly amount. Okay. 2.87%, 8.04% for Tanner, placing it in first place right now until we see Matt's 10.39%, which is actually much lower than what it was. Must have been a pullback, probably Oscar, because I know that one was much, much higher before. And then Chris is at 2.97%. Now, if I would have, this is the possible trade that would have put me in first place, okay, guys? And I'm honestly, I've regretted it every day. If I did not pick ServiceNow and instead picked SoFi, I would have replaced my and that could have happened. I had first pick ahead of Matt in this round, in the third round, and I could have picked that over SoFi. Now, my understanding for not doing that is not because I didn't think that ServiceNow was that ServiceNow was a better bet than SoFi. Actually, I think over the next 12 months, it won't be. ServiceNow is an amazing business. Hold it in my own portfolio. Love the company. Can't wait for continued success from ServiceNow. But I would have liked SoFi more. Now, the reason I didn't pick SoFi is I thought that no one wanted it. My understanding of the business is that Amit didn't really want SoFi. Chris definitely didn't want it. Steve definitely has been talking or being more hesitant about management lately. So I was just confident that I was going to be able to get it at a later round. Terrible idea. And that's left me with a 4% gainer rather than a 24% gainer, which would have put me at first. Oh, well, live and learn. I definitely thought that the boys would be much more excited to pick service now, so I wanted to take that off the table from them. Vlad sold your data to market maker. He will screw your day any day. Yeah, you tell me the brokerage that you're using that's not using payment for order flow, because SoFi is doing that as well, which we know that you like. They do payment for order flow as well. Tanner, you're so confident you spotted them SoFi and you'll still be. Oh, yeah. I'm not that confident, but well, yeah, I do think that AI will be the right play. I don't know how good their plays are. A lot of the picks that Chris has picked or Matt has picked, I know nothing about these businesses. A lot of them. So it's not that I know that I'm going to outperform them, but like I put out a tweet recently just talking about like the funny thing about stock draft is I really don't believe that in stock picking. It's not a game of leaderboards. You shouldn't be judged against other people's performance. You just need to do well on your own. And the only index that you should, or the only benchmark that you should be, going against is the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100, right? And if you do that, that is the only thing that separates whether you should be self-managed or just be a passive index investor. Because if you're not beating the index, guys, you're wasting your time. There's so much more time that should be put towards learning about other careers or ways to make income, so then you can further push into an index that is currently outperforming your own stock picking ability. Now, I'm confident that I'm going to beat the index. I hope to win against the group just for bragging rights sake and that sort of stuff. But overall, I really do believe that investing is a personal growth initiative. I believe I even put out a post today that is not getting as much love as I'd wanted to, but obviously health-related posts are not what people expect from me. But I do think investing and taking care of your health go hand in hand. I think everyone talks about like rates of compounding and how much their stocks are doing on a yearly basis, but they don't talk about how many years that they actually have to invest. And if you're talking about total gains, what makes Warren Buffett is not that he has the highest, compounding years. What honestly really makes him special is that he had been investing for so many years. Okay. So I'm a big proponent in taking care of the years, making sure that I've got many of those. Some people are they'll be, what do you call it? Like predisposed to health conditions that they have no control over. And, think of that as God's will or something like this. But there are other things that you can control in your health that honestly, if you're believing in the personal growth, the delayed gratification, all those things that come hand in hand with investing, take care of your health, take care of your investing strategy as well. Both of those make for the ultimate strategy, not just getting rich quick or something like this. But yeah. Warren Buffett has a pretty damn unhealthy lifestyle, though. It is true. I mean, the guy likes ice cream and whatever. I don't know. Maybe he's doing blood transfusions on the side. Who knows what he's up to? But just because one person, I think that I'm a real statistics guy, obviously. And so I look at the cohort of people. Obviously, there are people that smoke way, 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 way into their elder years, and they live very, very long periods of time. But I don't think it's a conspiracy to say that smoking kills. Does smoking kill every single time? No. But does stopping smoking at a statistics basis increase your lifespan? Yeah. So stop smoking. I don't know. I smoke weed. I don't think that the same statistics apply for cigarettes as they do marijuana, but to each his own. Hi, Tanner. Looking cute as ever. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks, Dung Schlong. Appreciate you reaching out. Let's see here. McDonald's in the morning and Coke every day. Yeah, and then Dairy Queen in between, all these sort of things. So Hims GLP-1s are the way. Yeah, I'm not a super proponent for GLP-1s or anything. Like, it does seemingly feel like a miracle drug right now, and even helping with some brain stuff as well. Like, what is it? Alzheimer's, dementia. What are those categorized as? Memory loss disease? I don't know how you actually categorize them, but it does seemingly feel like a miracle drug. But I don't take GLP-1s or anything along those lines. So. SoFi is the only green fintech in the overnight session right now. Yeah, I wouldn't even really look at overnight sessions. They have such low volume that I wouldn't really worry about it, but be careful transitioning back to McDonald's after a fast. You can see how everyone is in a different time frame of the stream. Back whenever I was talking about coming off of a 48-hour fast, to other people still talking about aspects of the Singapore stuff from Robinhood that we talked about. It's all over the place. Yeah, like I talked about this freaking hour ago. Brad just got here. Let's reset. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Tech Frenzy. No, essentially, let's get ready for another exciting week. Okay. CoreWeave, by the way, just deployed the first next gen Grace Blackwell 300 NVL 72s, which is their super big computer, which is just the golden standard for essentially the brain for all AI. Okay. CoreWeave, once again, at the top of their game in a Dell rack system, which, shows very well for Dell as well, but also NVIDIA. If you guys have any of those plays, you're probably doing decently well right now. Late because walking my cat? What? Is a big company going to acquire SoFi? I personally don't think so. We just saw, was it JP Morgan? I think. Let me check. JP Morgan, $50 billion authorization, I think. Yeah, 5 days ago. JP Morgan Chase allows for a $50 billion buyback and hikes their dividend. Okay, so JP Morgan's got how much cash? They need a lot of that cash to actually fund their own business. And then they also are saying with that cash, hey, we're going to just get rid of $50 billion to go buy our own stock back to help with shareholders. Oh, by the way, we're going to bring up our dividend that we have to pay out every year to help our own shareholders. By the way, it's well, it's not even a belief. It's just the truth. But partially why it's also being done is that the executive team are large shareholders of the company as well. They benefit from buybacks. They benefit from dividends. So I think they're really helping the retirement plans there, especially for all the older executives of the big banks. $50 billion is a great paycheck to put towards SoFi, to put towards a next-gen consumer bank or something along these lines, right? Maybe JP Morgan doesn't even need to do that. They're on the more cutting edge of the big banks. Citi, starting to do good things. Wells Fargo, ancient, okay? They're not doing anything. The lowest NPS scores across any of the large banks. They're in a bad position. And then you look at what they're doing with their money. Now, I'm not saying a bad position in terms of stock or what people think about the actual company. I'm just saying in terms of being a growth business versus the other big banks, it's a different story. So what they're doing with their capital, putting $30 billion into buybacks and dividends and everything like this, just goes to show you that their eyes are set more on this being a value stock, having immediate benefits back to shareholders through buybacks and dividend increases. JP Morgan, exact same thing. There's no delayed gratification here. There's no buying of new business to extend their leads or anything along these lines. SoFi is not up for grabs because you're seeing what they're doing with their capital today. Okay. And if they don't buy it today, they've got to buy it tomorrow for a much more expensive price, which is fine with me. So the more quarters that we see from SoFi in better environments, adding to their total member count, whenever people come over and they bring over their direct deposit and they bring over their assets under management, that is taking away from the big banks. They are directly hindered by SoFi's success. Maybe not by a big margin, but fintech is eating big banks' lunch. That is happening. But yeah. I just don't foresee them getting a buyout because we're already seeing them use their money for other purposes. That's the end of what I have to say there. Do you think SoFi will acquire Joby? No. It's funny, but no. Why buy a company that would cause cannibalism in your company? Yeah, but they don't have to at all. They could call it friggin' JP Morgan FinTech or what. Like, they don't have to keep it the same name. But it does happen a lot, actually. I mean, in order for companies to survive and maintain over generations, they have to stay up with the newest thing that might impact their future business, right? Why did Apple put out an iPhone whenever the iPod offered music? If now no one buys an iPod because an iPhone does what an iPod does, so they cannibalize that whole business. Why does Google go after Gemini to offer a service that might cannibalize Google search to survive? You know, so I think that SoFi could be at a great price. By the way, I don't even think that they're expensive. Just be a great way of buying a good bank. But that's not the way that they like to acquire. They like to buy companies that like pennies on the dollar. So they're essentially dying like First Republic, and then they'll go up and scoop up the assets, which is fine. I mean, they can stay alive for a very, 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 very long time doing that. I don't think JP Morgan or the big banks are going anywhere. But in terms of total share price appreciation over the next 5, 10, 20 years, I'm going to bet on SoFi every single time. Because if you're in a growing total addressable market and you're gaining market share in that market, there's nothing else you need to worry about. Essentially, you'll find the greatest winners of all time if you just focus on those two things. And then the third one, just to keep your finding the greats from, or like the goods from the greats in a way, is finding one that can do that while expanding margins. So you're not just selling your business in order to gain market share or something like this, even though Robinhood in a way, Amazon in a way have done this in order to continue to grow, is just like, your margin is my opportunity, right? If you can also expand margins during that time, take market share in a growing total addressable market, there's nothing else you need to worry about. Nothing else. Everything else is sentiment. Separate the greats from the goods. Or something like that. Yeah. Grab on your radar? No. I don't want I don't like buying internationally as much as I can. I do sometimes to diversify, but Nubank and Mercado Libre are such large positions of mine, and I would pick Nubank and Mercado Libre 100 times out of 100 before I buy Grab. I think that the markets are smaller. I think that the growth rates are smaller. I think that the execution is just slightly worse. Grab can do fine, but Nubank is doing amazing. Mercado Libre is doing unbelievable. So Chat is spicy, is it? Pull back in 2 days. Yeah, I think not judging you as a person, but judging the comment section as a total, you guys are right 50% of the time. You know, someone says yes, the other person says no. One of you guys are right, and then there's a new mix of people that say the opposite. I don't know. So I want to believe you, but first time seeing you in the chat. Just got on the stream. Did you talk about Grab? No, it's not really a Grab stream. I'm just saying I'm not a super fan. Like I'm not well read on Grab either, but I understand the core of the business, and I don't really need that type of diversification. There's great growing fintechs and ecosystem plays here in America and even in LatAm. So I'm fine just playing my current companies. I don't need to hit every winner. I just need to make sure that the ones that I'm hitting are winners. Okay, let's see here. Shift forward to 125. Yeah, did you guys see the Trump comments that he made about frickin' like Jared Isaacman is a Democrat, whatever, saying that you know, that's the reason why they couldn't have him as part of the NASA like, to me, this is not even politics related. I mean, I guess it is, like it has to be, but like choosing someone based on their party, even though they're by far the number one candidate, and even that's like not his party. He's been very open about like he's donated to both sides, and then Trump said he hasn't, and Jared said, "Hey, like the largest donation I've ever made was to the Trump administration." So I don't know. Like to me, if you're going to find a self-starting elite entrepreneur, like one of the best in the world, that is has been known to be cost cutting because he never raised capital for like seed rounds to grow Shift4 and everything, and he's probably the most interested space entrepreneur outside of people like Elon Musk. To join the government and help NASA is such an insane opportunity for the government. Not for Jared Isaacman. Jared Isaacman would make billions of dollars if he stayed a private entrepreneur. Okay? He's a multi-billionaire growing a business that's already in the billions. The compounding rate would just be so much more worth his time. But to donate his time to government, to a country that he loves, and then say, that guy's not worth anything, he's a Democrat, I just think is like, do you not see the bipartisan issue that is NASA, and why he's not picking sides on that? Like, I don't know. And now there's an America party, a third party that Trump also had some comments to say about Elon. Elon had some comments to say about Trump, and that's, between them. But one of the things that I found very interesting is that a commenter said during one of Elon's X posts, "Hey, will Bitcoin be a large part of the America party? Is this something that you're going to adopt and agree with?" And Elon said, "Absolutely. Fiat is useless, so Bitcoin's going to be a big part of the strategy." Which, I mean, if you are a Bitcoin holder, then that's got to speak some volumes to you, whether you believe in the America party or not. Space guys need to stay out of politics. I don't think that it's like the space right now is not really a private industry for the most part. I mean, it's mainly government contracts, government oversight. NASA is a government arm. So, like, I don't think he's trying to get into politics, Jared Isaacman. I think he's trying to run his favorite business. Like, whenever he grew up, he wanted to be an astronaut. Like, he's always looked up at NASA in a very positive light, and wants what's best for NASA, what's best for America. I spoke with Jared Isaacman a few times, went to their investor day, spoke with him in person, did an interview. It's on YouTube. I don't know how you say that this dude has anything but pure intentions. Like, yeah, it's incredible. He will go down as one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. Of all time. Okay. Let's see here. Vlad too. I honestly think it's too early to tell. I know that sounds silly because he's just done an exceptional job in recent periods, and the product that they're offering is has been extremely viral its entire time. But people have to remember that there are so many world-class CEOs, so many, and so I don't know. I like, whenever I think of like world class, I think of things that have been done out of the norm, completely broken barriers, stuff like this. Vlad, I think he exhibits a lot of those things, but I also think that there's like, he's also very young. This is a company that was started in like 2013, so like, let's give him 10 more years. you know, let's just see how it goes. Like I don't think I'm in a rush to label somebody one of the greatest of all times. Whereas Jared Isaacman, it's a 26-year-old company. He's been running it since he was 16 and very rarely found any outside capital. And it's a 10 plus figure business. Like, there is a handful of companies that you could name that have done that ever in history, especially in 20 years. Like, it is one of the greatest success stories ever, but because it's not one of the biggest companies, people say that, like, or people downplay the exception here. Like, this is no team of lead Harvard grads that have all come together to create some PayPal mafia. This is like one guy. It's incredible what he's done. Spicy, I 100% agree with that. People fall into recency bias so much. It's 100% true. Stock goes down, Anthony Noto bad. Stock goes up, Anthony Noto good. Crazy. So I very much like Vlad. Love everything that they're doing, but yeah, time will tell. Who are we talking about? I'm talking about Jared Isaacman before. Jared Isaacman's the CEO of Shift4, just recently stepped away. I think that he is a little Elon Musk. I think every business that he's going to touch is going to be an absolute success. I think he's going to be one. I think he's going to go down as one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. Like, while running his startup business that's gone to, $10+ billion, he just learned how to become a fighter pilot on his own, and then started like training and buying and selling jets and like mercenary fighters for the United States, and then sold that business on his own as a side project. Like, he's a very interesting guy. There's not many people like him. Um, 100%. These, like, 100%. These are all legendary stories. Bob Iger's amazing CEO, but because he came back and then everyone, comments that he's made and decisions that he's made with the movies and everything like this, he's kind of, once again, recency bias. People have lost a lot of the respect for what Bob Iger has really done at Disney, which is just insane. Larry Ellison, one of the longest success stories of all time. What's his name? Mark Benioff, that would be another one I'd put up there. These are just insane stories. Thoughts on Palmer Luckey? He'll be another one. I like multiple success stories like that at that age is crazy. Lucky at Andrew might be the next Jared. Yeah, 100%. I think that's true. He's another. I think a lot of tech and investing, like the reason why I like it so much is like we're kind of focused on where the history books will be written, and you get to see all these characters. We're sort of. I'm a big believer we're on the shoulders of giants that are like writing history, and obviously Elon's played a big part in that, and many of the largest companies and their founders, Mark Zuckerberg, all these things, like those are the shoulders of giants that we sit on. And I think that Palmer Luckey could be a big part of that. Okay. Did we also talk about this? This was an amazing story. I talked about this with Brad, but I don't think I actually brought it up in this show. But Amazon launched a new model to power its robotic fleet. I think they called it Deep Fleet, if I'm not mistaken. And then they also hit their 1 millionth robot. I'm honestly growing more and more optimistic about Amazon. It's actually the company that I bought shares of most recently. And it's insanely exciting to know that the robots that they're building go immediately into a factory that needs their work. The capacity continues to grow. The products that are being sold, the users that are on Amazon.com continue to grow. Every facet of their business, every part, from the application layer for new merchants that come onto the platform, to customers that go to Amazon.com to know what they're going to purchase and the things that have the highest conversion rate of actually selling to them, to the one-page checkout process, everything in between, okay, to the logistics, to the routes that the cars take, to the way that robots are going to be able to unpack those things and put them on your doorstep for the last mile delivery. All of it being benefited from AWS, and AWS being the place where all of this is created, is insane. Like, there's not a company in the world, I think, that benefits as much as them. Just every aspect of their business, every single one. And Andy Jassy has been very open and not been one of these CEOs that said, this is not going to lead to layoffs and everything. He's been, hey, our workforce is going to get cut down, and we're actually going to be hiring in areas like AI and robotics, but other areas that are essentially no need for critical thinking, those jobs will decrease over time, because if there's not a need for critical thinking, it could probably be automated and done by some form of artificial intelligence or robotics. Now, there's two ways to look about that. One, is that good for society? And you can make your own determinations on that part. Or you can do what I hope a lot of you guys are doing here while watching the Future Investing YouTube channel, is what does that mean as an investment? What does that mean if I owned a percentage of the corporation that was benefiting from, automating and removing jobs and these sort of things? So if you care more about that side, you're on the wrong YouTube channel. Obviously, I care to see how all that pans out as well. But in the meantime, let's not try to think about how we're not going to make money. We need to future-proof our own jobs. I've got a job that's going to be lost here to generative AI content creation and all this stuff and news that is being told to you in a different way, much faster, updated in real time, 24/7, whatever, in every language, I'm going to lose my job too. How do I future-proof myself? Own shares and have ownership in the businesses that are actually creating those tools. If you look at my portfolio, I own a lot of that. AI infrastructure, the distribution of artificial intelligence, a lot of things that just have to do with digitizing aspects of the world that I do not think are going to go away, like banking, for example. Crypto, for example, this has been a thing that I've been reading about a lot. Crypto is not here to distinguish or to extinguish banks. I actually think that it's going to make banks stronger. And if you've actually looked at a lot of the crypto names, they've actually been trying to get bank charters because they know that that's the direction that governments are going to force them in. So even things with like crypto-backed lending, you can't do this on cold wallets. It's only allowed on exchanges. So maybe, there are some aspects that will be utilized for cold storage and wallets and stuff like this, but I still think exchanges and centralized environments will be where crypto lays. Will Tanner AI look like Flanders? Well, I honestly think that the future of some sort of content created AI is that you'll be able to choose whoever the heck I look like, and that there'll actually be some part of it that like not looks like Flanders in terms of I understand you're making fun of the mustache, glasses, comb over look, okay, but maybe I literally look like a cartoonized Simpsons Flanders, because why not? Maybe that's who you want to hear your news from. Or I'm not in this static background, but on the New York Stock, wherever you want me to be. Okay. So that I also think is interesting. And like, as I'm talking, bringing up what the stock price looks like and everything that's more interactive and useful over time. Okay. Should I buy some now or wait for earnings to buy more? I don't know. It's been back and forth. There's been a lot of sell-offs during earnings for SoFi, but there's been also times where we've ran after good earnings, especially in the early hours, and then sometimes we'll see a big pump in pre-market, and then once the market's actually open, institutional sells it off. We'll have to see. Yes, I'm talking about SoFi. You need to ditch your multiple screens and just buy Meta glasses for show. Yeah, but the Orion project is far behind, and obviously, I can't have all that. So, still have a bunch of screens, everything. Tanner, when's SoFi's earnings predictions coming? Probably this week. I have all the information I need, so like, I don't think my predictions are going to change at all unless we find out something that had happened in the previous quarter. Remember, even if there is news like, oh, instant transfers come out tomorrow, that doesn't change my predictions for what happened back in April, May, June. So I don't think anything that my numbers are already finished. I have everything. But I also have some pretty exciting video. Like, I've got a very big video coming out tomorrow. So that'll be interesting. And then if there's any news or something like this that comes out that's like breaking news for the companies, obviously, the more static videos that don't need to come out between now and the 29th or whatever, that video is going to get pushed. But yeah, I'm going to try to aim for a new video every day. So that leads me into a good topic. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not subscribed, but you want these sort of updates, not just live Q&A, stuff like this, which we do every weekday anyway, and maybe Sundays too, but also on, really quick updates of things that are happening in the stocks that we cover: Nvidia, Google, Amazon, SoFi, Hood, all these fun businesses that are growth companies, in my opinion, that I think will do well over time. Or even new businesses like what I tweeted out about Shark Ninja. Pretty excited about that business now as well. But overall, subscribe if you want those updates. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time, but bye for now.